to this episode of Fudd and His Cruise. I'm one of the crews. That's fun.
Fudd and his crew.
No, we're the cheese.
Fudd and his cheeses.
I'll be Munster.
Wow.
I like American.
Wow.
Miracle.
What's your favorite cheese?
Aren't you part of the invasion?
Invasion.
The invasion of illegals.
No, I'm not illegal.
Hey, he came here right. Properly.
The right way.
The right.
Wow.
Wrong.
Anyway. So we are back in Isaiah. Welcome to another pod here. We continue on day 212 for those who are
211?
211. 211. We are in Isaiah 54 to 58. So Isaiah, again, is a major prophet. He is speaking to the nation of God, getting them to repent, but of course, they refuse.
It's like a common theme, this whole book. And in future, when we read Jeremiah, it's kind of the same. Just about Israel's destruction and exile, future exile. And I guess just warning the people, but it's like they warn them all these years before and it goes through 1 year out the other.
I mean, God tells them time and time and time again. Like, you've turned your back, and it's because of the idols. He gives them so many chances. They don't listen.
But even still, he would say, he even I don't know, what do you think? Because he says that he wants to include the other nations as part of his family.
Yes.
Do you think maybe the Israelites were like, well, why? Aren't we your people?
Did they get jelly?
Probably. I don't know, because I mean,
Maybe.
they're not even following him. They're just, it's only when they need help, right? So I don't know, why would they be jealous if God wants to include everybody?
Well, some of them are like their enemies, like the Philistines and Ammonites. Like he wants to be their king overall, over every nation, not just Israel.
Yeah, I think I always wanted them to be part of the family. It's just that they've always been the ones fighting to destroy Israel. But that's not really his purpose. He would want everybody to be part of the family as well. So, and he says he considers the people his bride, and he is the husband, if you want to put in that kind of image. Ready?
Yeah. No, yeah. I was gonna say. Funny how he said that. You were saying that they didn't want God or this and that, but they easily followed the. If they're jealous of them, they keep following the other people's gods. Like it's never God, that they're always following everybody else's God instead of God himself. So it's just, it's weird. Instead of following God, they're always following somebody else's gods.
Is it I don't know, I'm trying to imagine myself being part of them, in the sense that if they bring up an idol, it's something tangible that they can see and touch. And so if they think that maybe that will bring them some sort of blessing and they can tangibly and physically see it, is it harder for somebody to fully give in to a God that they can't see?
Yeah.
I mean, that could apply to today. You know, people who don't believe in God and stuff, and they believe in the stars and the moon because they can see it.
And the rocks.
And the rocks.
La Virgencita.
Manual your people.
Sir, you don't get him out of there.
I think that's the whole idea of faith, right? You have to believe, but it's hard. I don't know. I still think Israel, the Jews are all spoiled, and when you spoil a kid, they often more than likely rebel, and so that's how I think they are
Yeah, they don't know how good they have it.
at all.
And that's what's weird when people say that if God shows me something, I'll believe. But I think God's already done that before. He did the biggest miracles and they didn't. So people now keep saying that, but I think that's what God takes us more differently because we don't see nothing, and we believe it's even better than those people that saw. So people they say, oh, like the atheist, if I see him or if he did this, I'll believe him. And God knows it's not true because that's what he did back then. He did like the biggest things for them, yet they still didn't want to believe him, or they still didn't want to do his stuff, like his commandments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
But God still says that He is not going anywhere. He's going to stick around, even though they reject Him. And so He, through Isaiah, establishes He prophesies that He's going to establish an everlasting covenant with them. Even though they already had one, they are pretty much breaking the covenant. So I think that the everlasting covenant that he's talking about now is through Jesus. So I think that's what he's prophesying, that when he shows up in the scene is not, none of this stuff will matter anymore. So he would be the one to establish the new covenant.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, God.
I love you, God.
Wrong.
He also talks about the future, like what Manuel was talking about earlier. He talks about the new heaven and new earth, and like prophesies about Jesus as well. And he also says that he keeps telling the Israelites, like, hey, I know destruction's coming, but I'm going to bring you back. Like, there's still good after this. I'm still going to make something out of the bad. I'm going to make something good. But they still cling to the bad side. Like, oh, crap.
But what would you say to people nowadays that would say, well, why does he even have to put them through it? Why can't you just get them through their situation? Why do they have to go through the struggle and then you save them?
Well, I think he said, like, God told him, like, hey, if you keep disobeying me, I'm going to punish you. Like, it's just like, I think even God has a breaking point, maybe, where he's like, okay, I'm done. I've done all these things. I've given you everything you wanted. I've given you this life, this new land, and you still want to worship other gods. Like, I think maybe he's just, I don't know. I'm sure God has feelings. Isn't he like, just like, he's a jealous God, like he wants the glory to him, and eventually he's just going to be like, well, no, man, I need to punish you.
and also maybe because they keep putting their kids through fire.
Yeah, they
That's
do. They
probably
do
the
child
worst thing.
sacrifice.
Yeah, they keep doing
Yeah,
bad
I
things.
think that was the worst thing. Because maybe if they did
Yeah.
other ones, maybe he'll let them slide. But maybe he sees the downfall of that. If they just keep killing them, they're just gonna, like, their hearts is just gonna freeze. Like, if you can kill your son, what else can you really do?
Yeah, there's no limit.
They're spoiled kids, pretty much. But I think later on in Jeremiah we'll read that, because they all say the same thing. All these same prophets around this time, they all say the same thing. But what you're saying, it was interesting because he later on says that God must let His people be given over to their consequence of their sin.
Yeah.
It's not that He doesn't want to save them. He can't save them because then you wouldn't have free will. He would just be controlling everything you do. It's like you're a robot. He's just gonna program you to do what he wants. If it was like that, then he would just save everybody. But he's already established that the consequence to sin is death. And if you keep on doing it, why why do you want him to just save you when you are going to keep on doing it anyway, even though he's giving you everything?
Yeah.
So,
At some point, his wrath is just gonna just let it go. I don't know.
JP,
Mm-hmm.
moving right along. Isaiah 59. Now the people are starting to confess their sins, but it doesn't really last
Mm-mm.
because they still go back to their ways. It's funny that I think some of the imagery that is shown here, and even in the later books, like Jeremiah, it says that they will go into the temple and worship God and everything, do everything that's required. But then outside the temples, they'll have their idols,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like, oh, God can't see us because He's inside,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Psych.
So I think the polity mentioned something about this, something about the Trinity. I was gonna get JP, but didn't write it down. Damn it.
Good.
She said stuff when we watched the videos, and then what'd you say? She's like, she's wrong. Whatever she said, she was wrong.
You're a three-headed God.
Explain.
No, we're gonna get on this rabbit. No.
No, it's already
This is another.
8:50.
Yeah, that's what people say. They won't do it because they don't have an argument.
Says the one that takes, let's do 2 pods because I work in the morning.
What does that have to do with the Trinity?
Because if you don't work in the morning, I can keep going. But no.
He has no
work.
substance, like Tim says, or everybody says. His arguments.
Wow.
He goes for the lowest common denominator instead of defending his arguments.
Yeah, it's always a three-headed God. No explanation.
It is, yeah.
Explain.
Why is it three-headed? Why can't it be one?
God, we talk about this every week.
Moving along.
He's like
Exactly.
he's like the Israelites. He doesn't want to listen. He goes through one ear and it goes through the other.
I listen to my one God. I don't know what gods you worship, Manuel.
One God.
Speaking of gods, Abraham, what God are you worshiping this week?
I don't know who's up on the Rolodex.
I think it is like this. Imagine God powerful. Imagine if you have nanobots. Okay, no, I'm thinking like this. I'm thinking of human, because we don't know how God is. If you're like a nanobot and you're just created, right? And then out of you, your essence, out of your nanobot, you create another person. So technically, let's say he wasn't created, but he's nanobots, right? So something comes out of him. He was never born, and he was never created because it's himself came out. You know what I mean? Things like that. I kind of picture it. I know it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? I'm trying to put it in words of a human.
No, not a little bit.
That God is, you never know how he is. That maybe it's him that came apart. You know what I mean? They just imagine a nanobot person splitting into two. They're both the same. You're gonna tell me that one was created? No, it's the same person now. Imagine if they can go back. They're one. I don't know. Something like that. Moving on.
No, you gotta remember, Manuel, that according to JP, God cannot be three people. It's not in his power. It's impossible for him.
That's true. You have all these impossible things. These animals with 4 faces, 4 heads.
Seraphims, cherubim.
With all these wings and then like a Thor thing.
But this specifically is impossible.
Yeah, because God's not powerful enough to do that.
Exactly.
He was created in the universe where everything just has a limit. Everything's a limit. It's not limitless.
We serve a limited God.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. We left him speechless.
I don't have time to prove y'all wrong.
Exactly. No argument at all. Just a three-headed God.
Well, it is y'all's 3-headed dragon.
Explain.
There's no point because, like Manuel said, it goes in the.
See, yeah, that's what everybody says when they don't have an argument. I'll just save you. Moving right along.
When we get to heaven and we're all standing there and we see one God, I'm gonna point at y'all and laugh.
So Jesus doesn't exist then.
We never
Jesus
said
is
it's
God.
3. We said it's one God.
You said it was 3, Manuel.
It's one God. 3 persons, but it's one God.
I know, but you said there's a Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. They're all lined up at Chick-fil-A or something, all 3.
No, it's just the same God in 3 different forms. Water has 3 different forms: solid, liquid,
But it's
and
one
vapor.
thing. It's one thing.
One thing, but it's 3 different. It's not all the same. You can't call vapor the same thing as ice. There's 2 different, distinct. And then water, you can't drink the vapor. You can feel it.
You can drink vapor.
You can't drink it. Well, you're gonna get burned. If you see it vaporing, you're gonna feel it. Water, with the whole whatever. And ice, of course, it's a solid. It's like God. That's the only thing that actually you can touch. Like God came in the flesh, that you can touch him, which is ice. Water is God. The Holy Spirit, you still can't touch him. You can kind of see him. He's kind of like. Okay, moving on.
We beat him every time, man. He has no argument. Every time.
Go on and worship your gods.
God. Chapter 61 is the one that Jesus refers to. Right?
Sure.
All right.
Oh yeah, in Luke 4. Mm-hmm. To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. He said today. Oh, he's just basically telling them when he returns to earth again, they will be under God's favor. His wrath is yet to come. That's what it said.
Sounds good to me. I think there was one, I think on Isaiah 64, on this day, Polly mentioned that the women were not allowed in the temple during their time of the month.
Oh, yeah. That was weird.
Explain.
I don't know. Did it say?
No, the Polly lady said.
Oh, I don't.
She mentioned that because they were unclean, they could not serve in the temple because you had to be clean to serve in the temple.
Guess I'll stay home. No, I'm unclean for that.
Wow.
The kitchen's not in the temple.
Yeah. To y'all it is.
Wow.
What?
She did say on that day, I don't know which, I have it on my notes, that God isn't an actual being, but spirit. No physical eyes, but he sees everything. To those who know and love God, and God will give them heaven. With,
Did you ever see the movie Lucy at the end?
Pretty good movie.
So at the end, she takes this drug that supposedly is the body makes, but it's made when you're a baby in the womb because that specific drug is not it's a drug, but that specific drug helps you develop in the womb. It really hyper develops your body really quick in the 9 months. And for some reason, somebody in the black market, right, they develop that drug in synthetically, and then they mass produce it. Well, not mass produce it, but they make a lot of it. And so they want to sell it as a drug, right? So they have these people, these drugs smugglers, right? They pick anybody, whatever. And so one of them, they hide it in their stomach, and then they tell them, they give them a plane ticket, and then they leave it to separate countries, whatever. But on one of them, the bag tears, and I think it's what's her name? Scarlett Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
Her bag rips inside of her,
You talking about Lucy or Mary Full of Grace?
No, Lucy. And so the bag tears, and then the drug starts getting in her, and supposedly you can, um, she starts to, because I think it said that we only use like 10% of our brain,
Yeah.
and so that drug supposedly helps you use the whole thing. So at the end,
Yeah.
pretty much spoiler alert, this movie's sold. She finally gets to 100% usage of her brain, but that means she becomes pretty much God. She like pretty much dissipates, but she's still there because she can still send like texts. She knows what people are doing and stuff like that. So I imagine that's how God is, just in our limited knowledge, right? Picture him like that as just not a being but a spirit, just seeing everything, being able to interact.
So we won't see him then. We won't.
Right.
Because we'll see Jesus, because Jesus is God.
Right.
Okay.
Dang, good case for the Trinity there.
Oh, is it? I don't know.
A long talk tonight.
I just wrote. That's what she said.
Someone is
I
sleeping on the
wrote it.
couch today.
I wrote. And I'm.
Whiskey, you're taking her spot.
So why are all these songs? Well, no. Never mind. Like, I want to see your glory. Well, or I want to see you, but we will see him. But we'll see Jesus, because he's the form. He's the human form of God.
Well, here,
Is that
but once
what it
we're in
is?
heaven, I think we'll be able to see God Himself.
Will we? I don't.
Here we can because we're still sinful. Remember when
True. Oh, Moses saw God, right?
the shadow, the back.
The
The
back.
spirit.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
the back.
Yeah, he said, "I'll just raise."
He said, "I'm just gonna walk by you,"
Yeah.
and then he just saw the back of him.
Hey, we got to that one with the other prophet. He falls down, and he sees, I think, God too or something, and it like I'm gonna die, and then they clean his with the coals. No, okay, well, I guess we haven't got to that one.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I think
that
when we're in
was it.
heaven, we can. But in here, we technically can't. I think. But I think it's Jesus, because he showed himself too when. But other than that, I don't know. Maybe.
But JP won't see him because he doesn't believe in it.
Confuses me.
We move to 2 Kings 20. We go back to our old pal, Hezekiah.
And his downfall.
Explain.
He did at first start reestablishing the practices, like God's practices. But then he starts to like not do that, and so he's about to die. So it's like a recap of what we read.
Okay,
And-
so Hezekiah, he wants to live because God told him he was gonna die, but he pleaded with God to let him live more time. So many questions. So why? I think he may have like overcompensated because he was given a new lease on life, and I think he went like too far maybe on some things, and then that ultimately led to his downfall. And so I think maybe that's why God has his time for people to go, because he knows if he lets you live longer, you're just gonna mess things up.
yeah, exactly.
Thoughts, concerns?
Maybe. Yeah. Hard to tell, but you never know.
I mean, clearly that's what happened. I think if Hezekiah would have just died when he was sick, he would have gone out great.
Well, it just depends, because I'm talking about like Lazarus, or I know, getting ahead of myself, but he came back to life.
True.
So it just
But
depends.
also, do we know if he
I'm pretty sure
took
he
advantage
did.
of his life?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, but it's only speculative because here we see the evidence. We can assume that Lazarus. I don't know if maybe. I think the Bible likes to put in. I guess God likes to put in the failures of people so that we don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can assume that Lazarus did live a good life, but also we're just assuming.
You mean a good life meaning like following God, or you?
Right, still
Okay.
continuing on his path. Like he got a new lease on life, and he continued on doing great things,
Yeah.
and then he lived on his life how he was supposed to.
I think it's like anything. God is merciful, and then just some people fall short.
The only thing is that God knows. He knows what you're. So is he intentionally? If he knows you're gonna fall, is he intentionally sabotaging you?
No, isn't there a verse that where he talks about that? Or who talks about that? That he's pulling for you. He knows what's gonna happen, but he doesn't. Uh,
He still gives you the choice.
yeah, the opportunity or something. I forgot. I don't know if I read that or I heard it in the preaching.
I mean, that's pretty much what's happening with these people now, because he knows that's what. If he knows that it's not gonna happen, but the only thing I can in my mind think is that this is his creation. He has set some boundaries for his people that they must follow, because if he intervenes, there's no longer free will. So that means he has to let them make mistakes and let them make their own choices so that they can ultimately go to him, because he's not going to want to just make people to worship him. He wants them to love him for who he is on their own. So why would he? I think he's trying to give them a chance, like you said. He wants them to actually try, and maybe he thinks maybe they're gonna try to do it. I know they're not gonna do it, but I think it's kind of like when you're looking from the outside, right? And you're not a part of the game. You're kind of rooting for them still, even though you know they're gonna lose. Like if one team's way better than the other, but you still want to root for them, right? Because you want them to win, but you know they're just gonna get destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But you still want to root for them, even though you can go in there. Maybe you're good at whatever game it is, and you want to help them, but you know you can't because you're not a part of the team. I don't. In my limited mind, that's what I think.
Mm.
What do y'all think?
Or like a player that's hurt and wants to go into the game, and the coach, for his own better, he doesn't want to do it, but sometimes he's pleading with them, and just in that plea, he goes, "Come on," and he goes, "All right." He lets them in. Maybe some will make it and some will fall, like a Jordan that was sick, but he was able to win. As others that probably didn't, mess up their career or something.
Because I'm pretty sure not all of them were evil. I bet there was a few that, but I think later on they compare it to like worse than what was it? They got compared to worse than like Sodom and Gomorrah or something.
Mm.
And so I mean that's pretty bad. So I mean, but then again, like Abraham said to God, like even if there was 5, people, would you not destroy it? So I'm pretty sure there's still people in there who are not like everybody else, but it's just so bad that
Well, he doesn't also want to destroy it, because remember, for my servant David, that I gave my word that I would always have a light for him. You know what I mean?
His descendants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just the Israel people, you'd always have them for Abraham's sake, and he called it for David's sake.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for that, you never know if they would have the same. Or maybe he was upset because maybe the thing is, they didn't know from good and right, maybe, and they were just doing things whatever. And these guys knew everything. They knew God's power. They knew what to do, and they still want to listen to it. So.
Because even the books later on, they even mentioned that they don't even know the words, the word that was the law, I guess, because I think they forgot all about it, especially that generation, because it says that they found the scrolls while they were cleaning up the temple or something,
Yeah.
and they finally went back to it. So, I mean, they're lost. They don't know anything, and so these prophets are trying to get them back there. But of course, I think it mentions that they're probably just too far gone.
Mm.
JP,
Mm-hmm.
moving on. Hezekiah's downfall continues. Assyria attacks Jerusalem. Hezekiah gets praised for his accomplishments. I think he,
Made gifts from the battle and was exalted from other nations.
right, even though Jesus did it.
Because it was more of a spiritual war. Because the angel of the Lord, like, didn't he, like, go over them or something?
Yeah, he fought the war for them. He
Yeah.
killed them all.
Did it
Literally.
happen to David too? Like he fought the battle, got gifts, and they were all praising him. No, I swear.
I think his first battle, right?
Talk about where they were talking about Saul. This
Oh, was it so?
against
Oh, I
Saul.
think-
Maybe,
so.
yeah.
They were praising David more than Saul or something.
Mhm.
And then that's when he flaunts his treasures to other people. Oh, the Babylonians. And led to his downfall.
Is that the angel of the Lord? Who was that? Jesus or Michael? I believe it's
It was
Jesus.
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 Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And who do we leave? The other guy is the.
So then, in Old Testament time, was there a Holy Spirit?
No.
Yes. Because don't you remember when Saul was when he came out,
Oh, that's right.
he said the Holy Spirit filled him and he was prophesying and stuff.
Yeah, because at the time,
Yeah.
whoever was the leader, he was also the spiritual leader. So he was filled with the Holy Spirit. Whoever it was,
Like Samson, remember?
Samson. Yeah.
He was filled and then it went away.
Yeah. Okay.
JP, any thoughts on our Trinity? Our Holy Trinity?
Next.
No explanation. Got it. All right. Now we start a new book, Nahum.
No.
He, I think, is he from Nineveh? Or he
I
preaches
think-
in Nineveh?
Yeah.
And it's like 100 years after Jonah.
Is it me too, or do they repeat a lot of the names?
They do.
So sometimes I'm like, who is this supposed to be? Because wasn't he supposed to be dead? That sometimes it's kind of confusing.
Especially the kings, they always name them the same.
Yeah,
They did that with the pharaohs too because they wanted their name to live on. That's what they named them the same thing over and over. Because then they can say, so and so pharaoh reigned for 1,000 years. But it was all his kids that were named the same. So
Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of gets confusing. It's just a lot of them they repeat, and I'm like, didn't this person already die or something? So,
yeah, Pharaoh the third, Pharaoh the seventh, whatever. All right, so Nahum is another prophet, minor or major,
Minor.
right? Because there's only 3 chapters.
No, because the third is flat.
That makes more sense.
You got
Oh, yeah. All right. So Nahum emphasizes God's wrath.
to the Syrians in Nineveh. So then that proves again that God he doesn't, like, he wants he's the God of all people, not just the Israelites. He's looking at them too.
Anything else on Nineveh or Nahum?
No.
It's just another warning. Like, hey, God's gonna punish you wicked people, but he will bring you back.
I think at the end, Nahum does predict the fall of Assyria.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his claim to fame or infamy.
Is Assyria a country?
Yes.
Because what is an Assyrian? A person from Assyria?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't it turn into modern day Syria?
I believe so.
Oh, that's the Syrian people. Like Syria is actually that.
Yeah.
Isn't that where and then with that guy's from PTV calls himself an Assyrian?
Cool.
PDB or Patrick Big David, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because he said he came out of Iran.
Syrian, yeah, Syrian.
So Syrian is he actually from Syria? Okay.
Well, he was. I think he's from Iran, but that's like, I mean, all that landscape changed over time. So it's Assyria is the
It's like Assyrian and the Persians.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Next day, Second Kings, Josiah, the little kid,
8-year-old kid.
the mocoso.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good king.
Yeah.
The last good one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yes, like good. Yep.
Oh, he's the one that.
He finds the book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's the one that finds the book.
He's like, why aren't we following this? So he reads it to the people.
And he
Just-
starts to do what the book says. What?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
Obeying? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Destroying idols in the temples of idolatry.
Mm-hmm.
He reestablishes the Passover. Dang, about time. It's been probably hundreds of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of them not having to do that. But what happens to the poor guy?
His son dies.
What's his name?
I don't know.
Josiah. I think his name's Josiah as well.
Mm-hmm.
And his
The-
other son is king instead.
Jehoaz, something like that.
Right. This is
sounds,
where we.
sounds like that Jetson Franklin video. Boaz, broke ass, cheap ass.
He only reigned 3 months. Dang. And then his other Jehoiakim becomes king.
Jehoiakim. Yeah, because the Egyptian pharaoh Nero kills him.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm. He reigned 11 years. And then Jehoiachin, which we'll read about him later, he only is in there 3 months. He surrenders to the Babylonians and is put into jail. Mm-hmm. And he becomes prisoner.
Yeah, by Nero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Josiah's killed in battle. And then they capture his son.
Oh,
Down in jail.
we're too ahead. That's for next week.
And final thoughts.
Israel kept doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be doing the same thing every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just too far gone now. I mean, it's mentioned everywhere. But I think, like I said before, he's just trying to give them one last hope. Like, they can't say God didn't give them a chance. You know, so it's still all the same thing. We know what's going to happen. Of course, we read the whole, we know what happens, right? So, yeah. JP?
Sometimes I wonder, like, what's going on right now in modern day Israel. Like, is it the same thing? What's happened back then
Talking about like the wars or
with
what
Palestine?
Hmm.
Because I mean, they've been in battle with each other since David and Goliath.
Who's supposed to be Palestine? The Philistines?
Mm-hmm. They turned to modern day Palestine.
Mm.
So I wonder if, because right now Israel's taking the stance of like they're attacking us. You know, we're God's righteous country.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder now with all this, like, is it God actually using the Philistines to punish them?
I don't know. I've been seeing some people saying that God doesn't like the Israel, that they're gonna go to HEL for doing all that, and I'm like,
Hell?
well, yeah.
Going to hell.
And I'm like, I don't know.
Hey, Bayevsky.
I think it's complicated. I think it is complicated.
You haven't said that in a long time, man.
Well, complicated because we don't know what's going on, and you never know. The enemy can
It's
be,
complicated.
you know, there can be so many things. Even though I don't think it's right, war is always terrible. So I'm not trying to say that either one should kill each other, or but it's just I don't know.
Look, we must not forget that Israel has been destroyed many times.
Well, not completely, but been punished many times.
Yeah, by destruction.
Yeah. But they haven't been completely destroyed. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying the nation of Israel.
Mhm.
The people, the Jews, have still lived on because there's still there's Jews everywhere.
Mhm.
But I'm saying the kingdom, the nation of Israel, has been destroyed many times.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not the last time.
Mhm.
Even though we don't want it, we don't want anybody to die or whatever. But I mean, they are in the middle of. They're a nation in the middle, surrounded by a lot of enemies.
Mhm.
It's coming.
It's inevitable.
Well, because the Bible also says it, so.
Exactly. So we can't be saying, "Oh no, you." Of course, we can't let anybody destroy other people or kill people, but it's gonna happen. I mean, we might not even survive either.
Yeah.
Let's wait for Trump.
Wrong.
So I mean, everything falls away. Everything gets destroyed. We see in the Bible over and over, things get rebuilt. Other nations come and conquer, and then God raises somebody up, and then He takes back, or He puts things back in order. So it's the cycle of life. We see it in the Bible. So are we really surprised? I think that is a no. And with that, people, we bid you farewell.
Deuces.
And we will we'll see you next week with Zephaniah and Jeremiah.